Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Prosper Nutrition Show, where we want you to prosper and be in health. Today, we're going to be talking about what? Are calcium supplements dangerous? Are calcium supplements dangerous for you? This is an important question. I think a lot of people are asking this because of certain details that they're not sure about. Some people are taking calcium supplements and they need them for their bones. Some people are trying to avoid them because they're scared of what it might do to them. We're going to clarify this subject for you today. My name is Jason Steves. I'm a clinical account specialist with Perk Integrative Health, and I'm joined by my co-host Steve Steves, who's a certified clinical nutritionist and naturopath. And like I said, today we're going to be answering that question. Are calcium supplements dangerous? Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing really good, Jason. I'm really excited about this topic. You know, calcium supplements can be dangerous. Yes, just like an automobile can be dangerous to an individual who doesn't know how to drive. Maybe they're underage. Maybe they're living in hazardous conditions. It's the conditions of the body that determine the calcium absorption. And like an automobile, if calcium is in the right form, a good, strong, healthy automobile, when in an accident of some sort, similar to quality calcium, the bones then will flex if there's a force emitted on them, and the flexibility of the bones then will many times prevent a fracture. Where an automobile, a good quality automobile, can protect the person internally if it has protective walls, good metal around it, and so forth. So I kind of use that metaphor of an automobile is like calcium, in that it can get us where we need to go. It can, if we have a healthy structure, it can protect the internal organs and protect everything. But if driven improperly, obviously it can cause a problem. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little
Yeah.
bit about how calcium can cause mucho trouble.
Yes. Yeah, and supplementation, it's different than knowing that our body needs calcium. I think a lot of people, especially even doctors, they're like, "Oh yeah, you need calcium, go get a calcium supplement." Right? Yes, but it's sometimes when you're talking about supplementation, there's nuances because you mentioned there's different forms of calcium, and what is the best form to use in a supplement? That's kind of really what it comes down to as far as that. And then there's cofactors, transporters, there's other things that are involved with calcium uptake. So why the question is then is like, okay, why do I need to take calcium? Like, what is the purpose? So then we kind of get into other aspects of health. And so, yes, this is really, really important. So maybe, Steve, what you can start with is helping people understand a little bit about like what is calcium and the general nutritional need for calcium. Maybe just set a baseline for us there. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
And that's a good question, Jason. It often is a variable question. It depends on the activity of a person. It depends on their stress, depends on the size of their body, structure of their body, the amount of activity that's they're involved with, and then also what they're involved with in their eating habits. Because if you eat an acidic diet and you supplement with calcium, many times you will deplete your calcium. You'll deplete the calcium from your own bones. And so they know that acidic foods, and we'll provide with anyone that asks for it with the purchase of a bone health related product that we talk about today, not just bone health or calcium related product that's associated with bones, nails, and your teeth. I'd like to give them a copy of our acid alkaline chart,
Mm-hmm.
and also to send them a copy of Dr. Brown's article that she wrote with Dr. Jaffe many years ago on calcium uptake and bone health and the dietary effects on bone health. So really want to encourage that for anyone that makes a purchase today. And I know we're going to offer a discount at the end of the day.
Yes.
So,
yes. So stick around. That's a good point. So if y'all are watching this video or you're watching the recording, stick around. We're going to be sharing with you a discount code that you can use to go on prospernutrition.com and get a discount on the supplements that we talk about today. And you can start feeling the difference in your health with our higher quality supplementation. All right. So go ahead, Steve.
well, in the literature, Jason, the issues are when you're reading about calcium and the need on how much, if you ask a medical doctor, which is a big mistake because they're not trained in proper nutrition, but most people do. They ask their medical doctor, especially the ones that do the DEXA scan and tell you, oh, you've got osteoporosis. And for women, and scanning the bones, DEXA scans are not going to be accurate based on what their personal body size is, because a small woman will have an underscore of a DEXA scan. So when they developed standard reference ranges for DEXA scans of bone density, they were using men. They couldn't get females with stable readings because there were so many different densities of bone in women based on the smaller frame and larger frame women. So they used men with the average size about 5'8" and 150 pounds and developed the reference range. So most women that are smaller than that size are going to come up as easier or as either osteopenia, meaning having weakened smaller bones, or osteoporosis. And they can see some of that on the scans where the areas are weak. But it really has to do with just the fact that they have smaller frame most of the time. Can you increase bone density? Most definitely. In fact, we have a product guarantee. We want to include that in the literature for anyone who places an order. If you get a DEXA scan, let me read this, or I don't know if you have it handy, Jason, but
the guarantee.
Yeah.
So the guarantee is simply this. So if you want to improve your bone density, if you're having issues with osteoporosis, what you need to do is you get a DEXA scan. It's a bone density scan you can get. And most likely, if you know that you have you've already had this scan. But what you need to do then is you need to get the bone repair. You need to get pH strips, urine pH strips, and then you also need to get the acid alkaline food chart, the food effects chart. And what you need to do is you need to track your urine pH every morning after 6 hours of rest, and you need to live a alkaline lifestyle that balances your acid alkaline pH that you're able to read through your urine every morning. And with the diet, you eat about 60-40, 60% alkaline, 40% acid. And the chart shows you how to do that. It shows you essentially what foods are acid, what foods are alkaline. And you do that over a span of time of taking the Bone Guard, tracking your pH, and keeping the pH between 6.5 and 7.5.
And that's easy to do, Jason. If they'll do even 60-40 on the pH chart is easy to do. But most Americans are eating so much processed food, they're so acidic, and they're depleting their calciums and they're having bone loss. This is how the company can give this guarantee that if you get your pH in that range, you're eating an acid alkaline balanced diet and supplementing with the bone repair, you won't lose bone. And in fact, we see a gain in bone. I had a 72-year-old female retest her bone DEXA scan in 3 months period of time. We did other support. It's important that you get full biochemistry support, come to a clinical nutritionist like myself that knows how to read chemistries and target endocrine support, as well as the immune system support and digestive support and all of that for optimally running systems of the body. So she had low hormone production. We boosted her adrenal gland function with some herbal support there. And with the extra mineral hormone production from the adrenal glands at age 72, that gave her an increase in bone density in just 3 months' time by 1.5%. It shocked the doctors who did the scan. They couldn't believe it. So they repeated it in order to verify it. But fascinated me as well, because that was early on it was like in 1996 we were doing that. So I encourage people, it's so easy. I even saw a gain, it was last year or the year before, I gained a 1/2 inch of height back in my body. And it just took everything in the lifestyle factors that we give you in that guidebook that you can get for free if you go on prospernutrition.com. 7 proven steps to improve the health of you and your family in that guidebook. So I've optimized my lifestyle more and more the older I get, and I'm still working on it. I've been doing this since you were born, Jason, when I stepped on that journey when I was diagnosed and the doctor said I would be in a wheelchair the rest of my life with an rheumatoid arthritis. But I also had osteoporosis type arthritis showing up in my bones as well. Not to mention bone spurs, degenerative disc. It was a sad picture, and it's all been regenerated since that time. I've seen that regeneration of health. Everyone can experience that. That's the nature of God in us. We were designed to get well. We were designed to heal. You break a bone, it grows back. You puncture something in your skin, healing happens. Yes, the 7 proven step. So I've been optimizing those 7 steps in many ways, the right amount of exercise. There can be too much exercise. There's people that get into exercise oftentimes will beat themselves up, say, with too much cardiovascular health or cardiovascular exercise, and they'll cause bone loss. They'll cause mineral loss. They'll cause muscle loss. And there is just a right amount that doesn't take much. Today, for me, it was 35 minutes. I felt amazing. And I used to do 3 and 4 sets of weights, and now I'm doing 2, but I spread it out and I do a lot more stretching. I do different types of cardio, balancing the exercise, getting the right amount of hydration, the pH balance of foods, as you mentioned, and saw an increase in my structure last year of a 1/2 inch. So we can see the bone DEXA scans improve. We can see an increase in height. We've seen it in other clients that have come to our office. And it's a fun journey with people when they get it. I was on the phone with a lady today utilizing a tool that everyone should understand as part of bone health that I would like to put on your discount, Jason, that you offer at the end, and that's the choline citrate, because of its involvement in the nervous system, because fat metabolism affects calcium uptake, and you need choline to be able to metabolize fat, as well as using Liver Protect. So the cell membranes depend on the fat-soluble vitamins, what's in Liver Protect, your whole carotenoid family, your tocopherol family of vitamin A's and E's, and the other cofactors in there, so that the calcium can be taken up through intestinal membranes. Healthy gastro function would certainly be involved, and that's a foundation. The Nutritional Foundation's article that I have available on digestive health will all determine calcium uptake as well. So, when you talk about, we were kind of using that title as a lure, or is calcium supplementation dangerous? And it certainly is, because let's get into, and Jason, I know you have a chart on the different types of calciums, some of them that are more bioavailable and some that are not. But if you'll show a picture of our bone repair, it will give the viewers an understanding of the blends of different types of calcium and the ratio with magnesium and other cofactors that are involved. Here's our bone repair, and they show DEXA scan scores of individuals, how much they had improved over, also following the alkaline way of eating. If you could bump that positive sign, make that a little bit bigger for viewing one or two
Okay.
times. Um, what is that website for the Alkaline Way booklet, Jason? Is it just the Alkaline Way?
Alkalineway.com.
Yeah. So people can understand more about alkaline living. Some comments you see in there, putting large amounts of calcium into the kidneys. Sodium causes that, where it's subsequently excreted through the urinary tract. And we're talking about acidic sodium versus the ionized type of sodium that's found in regular sea salt is better and doesn't do that so much. Excess protein, now that varies for every individual. If you take
Right.
protein servings throughout the day, and that's what controls the calcium uptake. We need protein to absorb calcium, but excess animal protein that is acidic, so that should be specified. And I think that article does do that. If you see the asterisk there and you scroll down to the bottom, you can read more about the article that determined that high protein intakes can cause calcium loss, but it's more about animal protein and excess in American diets like we see. Caffeine, of course, is another factor that causes excretion through the kidneys and a loss of calcium. So
Yeah, a lot
a
of
lot of
this,
cofactors there, and
right.
you see the ratios of the calcium with magnesium and the types there. I was doing some research on acetic acid, the acetate. It's unique how that's taken up and utilized in the body. That there's some research on that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a link on different foods. It's funny that in this link, it must be supported by the American dairy industry because the first most alkaline or calcium rich food is kale, and then the second one is a dairy product. But they're using a type of calcium that's in dairy called calcium, it's either the phosphate or the carbonate, which it comes from just basically it's a type of rock, a calcite rock, the carbonate form. And
Yeah.
it's not easily absorbable. And here again, back to the studies, before they even understood how vitamin D was involved in the metabolism of calcium, they were recommending about 1,500 milligrams a day, which your body, of the type of carbonate you would use, you will only absorb about 10% of that. And then the rest of it's going to be wasted. And where's it going to go? Well, through the kidneys, out through the gallbladder, and it's going to precipitate. If it builds up, then you get a increased amount of kidney stones, gallstones, and even plaquing in the arteries. There's some good articles on that, on how excess calcium and the wrong kind of calcium contributes to heart disease. In fact, there's a good book called Vitamin D3 and the Calcium Paradox. No, it's vitamin K2 and the calcium paradox. So it talks about how vitamin K2 is a matrix protein, which is in our bone repair to help the bone absorb the calcium once it gets taken up through the digestive tract. So calcium, you consume it in the diet, gets in your digestion. Vitamin D helps to take it up from digestion, get it in the bloodstream. So you get that calcium in the bloodstream. We don't want too much there. It's a transport mechanism. Let's get it where we want it, get it into our muscles, get it into our bones, get it into our teeth, get it into our fingernails. And you'll notice increased growth in all of those tissues if you follow all of these things that we're discussing about bone health, about calcium metabolism, utilizing bone repair, and the multiple factors that are in there. You can see how many different nutrients. I believe the literature says 19 energized bone building elemental minerals and nutrients for the uptake of calcium. So with calcium, it's important to have these cofactors all available so you get the maximum absorption and you don't have the loss of calcium into soft tissue where it can cause disruption and dangerous negative effects.
Mhm. Yes, and
And
that's kind of the key there in regard to our question today is you can calcium supplements can be dangerous if you're taking the wrong form because you can build it up in your body and it can add to the inflammation and toxic load that your body has. So that's why we encourage people to very much scrutinize their supplements. It's what we've been doing for years and decades now, being very critical of the supplements we're taking and making sure we have the best quality supplements with cofactors that help metabolize, utilize these nutrients in our system so that our body can actually be better, be healthier, and not just take a pill for an ill or take, what the science says, oh, you need calcium and just take calcium and not even think about where it's coming from. So that's the key point in all of this. And in regard to recovering bone health, if that's the concern you have, most people, when they're talking about calcium supplementation, they're thinking about bone health. It is a process too, and you want to embrace the lifestyle changes little by little. You don't feel like you have, like some people are able to make big changes quickly. And if you are in a point in your life where you have the ability to make big changes quickly, we're all for it. We support that. We provide personalized nutrition plans for people that come into our office. And some of those changes there's a lot of different changes and pretty drastic changes, right, Steve? Like people are making some pretty big lifestyle changes. But if you're like a lot of other people who are highly stressed, there's a lot on your plate. Sometimes you would be picking one lifestyle change to implement every couple weeks, and you kind of add on to that. So that's another approach you can take. And you can start doing that yourself. If you don't have a personalized nutrition plan from Nutrition and Health Center, you can start working on the 7 proven steps because that's what we go through with our clients. We obviously we're looking at testing, which makes it a little bit more focused on that individual's biochemistry, which we encourage you to do that. If you are listening to this and you are local here in Houston, we are having a blood draw here in our office next week. So you can contact our office and schedule an appointment and schedule a blood draw. We have some spaces available still for the blood draw next week. But yeah, that's the approach we take, and you can start improving even if you don't do the testing. You can start improving your health in your bone health, especially if you start implementing these lifestyle changes and balance your pH. Test it in the mornings with the strips. That's something we need to carry in the store. I think we're going to be carrying not too long from now is the urine pH strips that y'all can order. That's a great tool to have in the arsenal. I know we sell them at Nutrition and Health Center, but we definitely are going to be getting them on the Prosper Nutrition store soon. So thank you, Steve, so much for kind of clarifying this question. This is I think an important thing for a lot of people, especially I think older women, I say older, middle-aged, getting a little more older, they're dealing with possible bone health, bone loss issues. And so that's really where, the rubber meets the road for them. And do you have any other comments that you'd like to share in regard to this subject, Steve? What they can do as far as helping them, other lifestyle choices or other things that you would encourage them to do?
I encourage them mostly to get functional testing. Get blood chemistries that we can evaluate for you based on optimal functional levels for ideal health. Don't wait until you've been diagnosed with some disease and then try to recover health because you could be on a slippery slope of destruction that you may not have a way out of. There's always a way out. God always makes a way, but it's oftentimes much harder when you end up in that disease world like I did because they didn't give me any alternatives. You will be in a wheelchair. This is how we manage your condition. And if you don't know what to do otherwise, you just fall for that and you get diseased, you get in that position and you spend your life in a wheelchair. And I chose not to do that. And basically it's saying when I get a disease label, I choose disease. I choose to be treated for disease where they just throw a chemical at your symptom and it doesn't get to the underlying cause of the problem. And that's what we're trying to do here. So get tested. Our micronutrient test is highly valuable to identify what nutrients are taken up into the tissue cells. That specifically for bone health is really important. But the ELISA lymphocyte response assay, LRA test, is most effective to identify what is food and what is not friendly food for you that you want to watch out for, and chemicals in the environment that could be triggers. We went over that test this week with a woman who has 2 sensitivities to different types of fungus. And the 2 different environments where she lives in and works in are probably have a lot of that in her AC systems. And she's going to work on certain filtration measures to see if they can get that out of there because it's affecting her immune system quite drastically. So the LRA test, the micronutrient test, standard blood chems, those are our top 3 and really getting to the nitty of what's needed. And then if you've got nervous system disorders, sleep problems, anxiety, anxiousness, depression, you want to get a neurotransmitter test that is easy to do at home. Many of the others are all blood draws, the 3 that I mentioned before, micronutrient, blood chemistry, and LRA. But the urine micronutrient test, urine neurotransmitter test will give us exact information on your serotonin levels, which metabolize to melatonin. These are the top 4 that get metabolism answers like you haven't had before. If you have not done these tests, you are not functionally assessed and you don't know what you need. So you're just taking random guesses at the supplements that you're buying, whether you need it or not. Most people that come in for the first time, I had someone in recently this week, a new person, and they were on 12 to 15 items, something like that. And they were all single items, like 1 folate and just individual items. Well, most of what we use are synergisms. You saw that bone repair. It's got 19 different nutrients in it. And you want synergism in professional products of companies that know how to do this. Perk and our founding fathers of this stuff have been doing it since about 50 years now. So we know what we're talking about with supplements and we can make a difference. We're glad to help you. Thanks for including me in this report, Jason. I'm really excited to talk about calcium because I was really confused about calcium when I was diagnosed with arthritis and have learned a lot about it in 40 years.
Right. Yes, folks. So as Steve mentioned, we've got a coupon code today to use with your supplement order to get 10% off your supplement order. When you order for prospernutrition.com at checkout, you'll use the code 7/19/24-SHOW. That's the date that we did this show, 7/19/24-SHOW. You get 1 order for 10% off. So you can use this anytime. This isn't going to expire. It only expires after you use it 1 time. So take this code, use it to get an order for 10% off. And if you have questions, you can contact us. info@prospernutrition.com. You can type a question here down in the comments or just any statements, any encouragement, any testimonies you want to share regarding the subject. But thank y'all for watching. We really enjoy giving you this information. We feel like it's really important we continue to share this information. And if you have questions regarding these types of things, so if you have a health issue or if you have supplement questions or whatever it may be regarding nutrition and health, the 7 proven steps, testing, all this stuff, we would love to answer those questions on the show. Feel free to send us those questions at info@prospernutrition.com, or like I said, type them in the comments here in the video. Remember to like the video, subscribe so you can get notified when we post videos and when we go live, and share this with your friends if you found this helpful. Steve, thanks again for sharing the information you have. And
pleasure.
we'll look forward to seeing y'all next week at 1:30 Central. That's when we go live every Friday, 1:30 Central, here on the Prosper Nutrition Show, where we're working to help you prosper and be in health. Thank y'all. Take